Hopefully this isn't a throwaway video. I'm responding to a person who did a long diatribe. Here we go. After a little bad timing, inconvenience, let me get back to you. I know such and such probably got down what I already said anyway. What you need to investigate, what other people need to investigators. The movie Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger, made back or released back in about 1985, the movie Running Man. You need to correlate the movie Running Man with the Route 91 October Las Vegas alleged massacre shooting, whatever you want to call it. Running Man was put together before 1985, and the movie was set in the year 2017 or 2018. Okay, I've already done a video about this, but here we go. That's pretty dang close. Of course, if it's not the right year, then you'll acknowledge that this is completely blown out of the water, because if even one part of your theory is wrong, it's all dead. Next. So that's how far these people think ahead as far as I'm concerned. If you correlate the movie to Las Vegas situation, you will see how close they match up as you get the situation was planned well in advance, drill by psychological operations, etc. Okay, now here's the thing. Everybody watching this video, I want you to sit there and think, do you remember this movie? Okay, if you don't, then you can't play the next set of games. We're going to play a few questions. What was the plot of Running Man? And we're talking. It's the movie The Running Man. The movie The Running Man was written a long time ago. This is not just a movie; it was a book. Okay. The year it was created in is not 1985. Next, was the original book set far in the future, and what year? Did it mention the year? I've already done a video about this. I've completely forgotten about this because it's a book and a movie. Alright? Now, what was the plot of it? Pause the video, type up the plot, hit enter if you saw it. Next, I'm going to repeat the plot as best as I can remember. Let's see how many Mandalay Bay effects we can get. And then you put in what I got wrong underneath your own comment so that it becomes a stacked comment. I'll approve them eventually, obviously. I put them on hold. I don't block them. So here's the entire plot of the movie Running Man. Now, this is probably what he's referring to. Helicopter pilot Arnold Schwarzenegger is with a bunch of other helicopter pilots. They're police officers. They're trying to quell a disturbance, and the quote is, "They're just hungry. They're not criminals." It's a bunch of people rioting over food. He's basically taken out of commission, and they kill a bunch of people, and then they blame the deaths on him, saying he was the one person to do it because everybody else had to not take the blame. He's thrown in prison. Given the option later on of being on a reality TV show, that's a Donald Trump reference. This happened while Trump was president. You know that, right? And he goes on a show, and they compete. Let the murderers and thieves and whatever compete against each other, and everybody basically plays bets on who's going to win. And they have some professional fighters who fight them. And Schwarzenegger and his friends do such a good job that people start placing bets on them. They're supposed to all die. And they show a previous occurrence where 3 individuals were sent to the island and got away. They didn't. Their bodies were shot later. It's reality TV before it was reality TV. Oh, really it is. And it did predict the future about that. Including, yes, this has actually been done in some other places, having life prisoners and death row prisoners do stuff to entertain people. This has happened before. No, I'm not talking about modern times. Condemned prisoners are used for entertainment before they're killed. Gladiatorial games. This is based on the gladiatorial game idea. And that's it. But anyway, in there you get all sorts of interesting social references, and it does predict a lot of things. So, in order for this to be like Las Vegas would have had to have been attacked from machine guns in airplanes or helicopters, shooting a bunch of people who were rioting for food. It's not anything like that. There's no correlation to it. What about the original version of it in the book, which is long before that? Does it have correlations that are better? Does it have a psychotic person like me wanting to beat every single train horn with a hammer? I'm sorry, I just got to say it. If you're a train operator, you need to do a video explaining, why do you hit the horn like that? Anyway, let's get on with this. Here we go. And again, this has to be a false flag, a drill. Everything other than Paddock went up into the top of a building. No, it was not a gun running activity. And shot a bunch of people because he wanted to murder a bunch of people. That's what he wanted to do, because that's what he did. He didn't suddenly decide doing it. It wasn't a gun deal gone wrong. That doesn't make any sense. If a gun deal goes wrong, you don't call attention to yourself. And if it's a gun deal gone wrong, wouldn't you take the guns instead of leaving them freshly fired? Well, it might just put bow on them. No, it was Paddock shooting. But anyway, let's get on with it. Here we go. Next, okay. It can only function for the CIC. The President of the United States. Window dressing is, I would call them, has to okay it. Why would the President of the United States, or CIA is maybe what you were trying to type in. Let's see if the A and the C are near each other. No, they're not. I don't know what you were typing out. Why would the President of the United States be told about some mass shooting? That would just make him a liability. Presidents are elected from the population. I can become president. You don't want me running the country and then tell me, oh, by the way, we're going to go kill a bunch of American citizens. And this is the very important thing. What is accomplished by the U.S. government, the CIA, everybody else shooting everybody? Again, there's no real advantage to it. The reality of the situation of one person deciding to kill a bunch of people is batshit insane. But it's not attempting to accomplish anything. He just wanted to murder a bunch of people. For it to be the U.S. government and some deep plot, there has to be something worth doing this for. None of you have provided anything like that. In fact, you go out of your way to provide really stupid reasoning for saying it couldn't have been Paddock. That's on purpose. Anyway, let's get on with it. So it came from the very top. The military brought in their melange team after using speakers, blanks, whatever. Nobody was shot. It was a drill. But other people have buried their relatives and family, and there are people who are out there with holes in them and shrapnel in them and blown off faces. No, those are fake somehow. As far as helicopters go, there would have been a couple of placement shots to keep the firing going, just like herding cattle or stampeding them out of the concert, locking people down in the casinos, the paddock. There was another thing you would need to look at is the name paddock. Check out the dictionary's description and see what a paddock is, and look and see if the name paddock horse racing or farming, you see paddock really is. What would be something people certain, let's say, type would use that kind of large-scale operation? You're going to have to blame entire on the United States government, whoever they are anymore. Communists, Bolsheviks, most likely, etc. Yeah, let me get to the point here. What was accomplished and what was attempted to be accomplished? What was the goal and what did they gain from it? And what do you gain by saying nobody died? You see, the thing about this is that a bunch of people really did die. A bunch of people got hurt. No, they didn't. Okay, so they're blanks, nobody got hurt. So what was accomplished? A bunch of money given to people to lie about being shot and lie about burying their relatives, right? How far does this rabbit hole go? Is it really a rabbit hole? What kind of hole is it? Y'all should too. If it was a book writer, I would be writing a book now about my concern is actually more patriotic, not to be confused with Patriot Act. No, you're acting like a patriot. A patriot doesn't decide to encourage other people to overthrow their own government unless you're on the opposition side. I'm going to be mean to this person. I don't think you're patriotic. Patriots don't invent anti-reality propaganda. Propagandists do. I'm taking that back. I'm not gonna call you a non-patriot. Let's just continue. It's BS constraint to impose more control, behavior, mind control happening everywhere with these alleged shootings and bombings and BS for public consumption. Basically, some of them may be real, but not this one. That's what everybody says about every one of them. Well, some of them are real, but not all of them. And then you bring up literally every single occurrence, and if it was in the news, it was real. It was not real, excuse me. Can't be real. Because it had an effect. Okay, I'm going to get to the point. While this train horn aggravates the living crap out of me almost passive-aggressively, the effect something in this world has on you doesn't mean it's intentional. The guy firing that horn over there isn't trying to deliberately piss me off. He's almost a mile away, alright? I'm using it as a joke. Just because a gnat goes in my eye when I'm riding down the street on a bicycle doesn't mean fate wanted me to get hit in the eye. It's a gnat. None of this matters about you or the effect it had on the world. A group of people on an island somewhere accidentally getting bombed and an entire subpopulation we never knew of being obliterated by explosives by accident because we didn't know it was a populated island, and there are a bunch of island goers who go back and forth between 5 islands, and they have a rich history and artwork, and they're all dead, and there was only 300 of them. That mattered to them desperately. But to someone else, it was literally pushing a button and smoking a cigarette while he waited for the explosions to go off because he's trying to qualify so that he can be on a battleship. Just because something happens in the world doesn't mean the same thing to everybody the same way. Somebody firing a gun because he's having a happy day a mile away and the bullet comes through my tent top and hits me in the head, kills me, doesn't mean the guy meant to kill me. He's an idiot. It's a dumb thing to do. He ended someone's life. He's guilty of manslaughter or whatever, but he wasn't trying to murder me. This guy shooting a bunch of people at the Route 91 festival was because he wanted, this is the funny thing, he wanted to kill people. He wasn't trying to kill Jane or Joe or Thomas or Ahmed or Piotr. He was shooting random human beings. And that's what's sick. He wasn't killing anybody for a particular reason. He just wanted to kill a bunch of people. And you'd rather live in a world where the President of the United States at the time and everybody else was in on shooting a bunch of people or doing this, but so that it isn't so horrific, so that you don't have to decide that maybe, just maybe, that's really terrible, no one died. Not a whole lot of others. The enemy will use and manipulate all events, staged or otherwise. They own the media. They print the money, money talks, and BS walks. Use the Running Men movie. There's the piece of the puzzle that's missing because once in a while things do happen just out of the clear blue. However, this didn't for some reason. This was an extremely well-organized plan in advance years ago. New World Order style. Psychological operation, etc. I'm getting tired of this, so you can read the rest if you want to, I'll include. And he also says, look up the Smith Mundat. Okay, here we go. This will be the second or third time. If I point you to the actual story for The Running Man, the original source, the book, and it doesn't mention that year, will you acknowledge that this was wrong? If it does mention that year, will you acknowledge that it doesn't actually match in any way anything in the movie to what happened? I mean, the book was the original source, if you want to say it was. And why would someone make a movie about it and then do it later? Wouldn't it be more likely they said, hey, you know that movie Running Man? Let's do that in Vegas, just for fun. I mean, why does it have to be this convoluted, orchestrated, pre-planned, bizarro stuff? Why? Do you really believe that the world has tragedies that leave out breadcrumbs so that you can discover them?